What's cooking, Juventus fans? Welcome back to your lady's favorite YouTube channel. Just because it's been a couple days since we mentioned Di Maria does not mean that anything has slowed down with Juventus and him. We have an update regarding his situation and what it looks like for the future, as well as some other potential options that Juventus are looking at. And then also there's some more important developments when it comes to players that either could be departing the club or should be departing the club. We'll talk about it all in today's episode. Stick with us. We'll fill you in. Ciao ragazzi, welcome back to the Bianconerizonechannel. My name is Justin Sofro. Today, it's Wednesday, May 4th, 2022. May the 4th be with you, right? That's for the Star Wars nerds out there. I am one of them. I have Baby Yoda in my background. Right, anyway. Appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in, as always. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're new to the channel, join the community and everything that we have here. If I didn't say it already, my name is Justin Sofro. I have your latest rundown of all things Juventus, all the news that you care about each and every day. Let's just dive into it, though, because we got a little bit to talk about, and I don't want to waste much more time. First up, let's talk about Di Maria and the situation ongoing there for the player that looks to want to be joining Juventus in the near future. Tuttosport are reporting that Angel Di Maria would be intrigued by the possibility of wearing the Juventus shirt next season. Juventus, for its part, would be intrigued and not a little by the possibility of acquiring a player of such a caliber at a reduced cost. News is expected in the coming days. The player wants a €7 million per season contract. So we're looking at potentially, I know 1 to 2 seasons. We talked about that being rumored out there. I would imagine 2 is probably the more likely, just so he's going to want a little bit more consistency there when he is making a move. You don't want to just do 1 and then be stuck in the wilderness the next year trying to figure it out. You want to at least have 2 years figured out and good to go. But that is intriguing to hear that we may have news regarding his transfer to Juventus early on. So we have our first player down potentially, and that would be a good get for Juventus. Di Maria can do a lot of good things when it comes to development. One, he's a talent in himself, and it'll improve what Juventus has overall on the wing. He'll be able to contribute by potentially opening up and unlocking some of what Vlahovic wants to do there in the attacking frame and get him back at a goal-scoring pace that I think he was more acclimated to at Fiorentina, and then Juventus could definitely use that from him, get him scoring at a higher clip. The €7 million per season, we'll see how that ends up playing out. I would say he would be a player that would be worth paying a little bit more for. But then also we see rumors of potentially Milinkovic-Savic out there who makes €3 million at Lazio right now, only potentially being offered like a €4 million euro per season contract. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe Arriva Bene and Cherubini can get this one a little bit cheaper, but at the same time, I think it's a good get either way, even if you're paying that. You're paying Rabiot, you're paying Ramsey a ridiculous amount of money until they're gone. I wouldn't say pay ridiculous amount of money, but I'd say this would be a player that would be worth a little bit more, especially for a short period of time that Juventus will have him more than likely. Let's continue on, though. The next story is talking about another attacking option that Juventus are going for, and Tuttosport are reporting that Juventus made the decision to go for Raspadori as the Dybala replacement. Now, this throws a little bit of confusion, I guess, if you're watching these channels on a regular basis. If you're watching me talk about it, it's confusing me as well, right? Who's the replacement? Do we need to even talk about who is replacing who? Maybe we don't really need that information, mainly because it gets floated out there all the time. Raspadori is the Dybala replacement. No, Di Maria is the Dybala replacement, whatever. Maybe nobody's really replacing Dybala just because his position may not be the position. It won't really be utilized in Allegri's system, right? But you're talking about replacing what was thought to be a higher clip scoring player, right? So Raspadori would be good for that. I think Raspadori I still lean toward him being more of a Moise Kean one if he ends up departing, but I understand Dybala's leaving. You're gonna need another young player to potentially take up the mantle of being the attacker of the future for Juventus. And Di Maria, while he'll be a great winger to add on to Juventus, he is not going to be a guy of the future because he's old and his time's running out, but he's still going to be a good player that Juventus could end up getting. I'd be very interested to see if Raspadori and Di Maria both come in the Mercado. I think I'm starting to buy in a little bit more that it's a possibility that you get both of those players, and I think it'd be really interesting to see how they could bring a nice attacking boost to Juventus in the very near future. And Juventus, they need it, but also we'll see how Allegri's system fits both of them in and actually can get going. Let's continue on, though. We got to talk about De Jong again. And I know, if you've been on the channel, I've been here, like, battling it a little bit, just saying hush, hush with De Jong because I just wasn't buying it. And I'm still not really fully buying it, but we'll see. It could be an option, especially if the midfielding options tend to go down. Let's go ahead and read the report, and then I'll get into it. Sports reporting saying that Barca are increasingly convinced they will let Frenkie de Jong leave in the summer. The Dutchman is not considered to be untouchable, and Xavi is reportedly already given the go-ahead for his transfer. Juve are in the front row, because of course they're in the front row for every player. Anybody who was ever being even mentioned at potentially making a transfer, Juve are definitely just sitting there in the front row waiting. That's the report for everybody. I think Juve is just the one they get to use for everyone. Anyway, the request of the Blaugrana is 70 million euros. He's a really good player. He's a very good player. I don't know that I would see Juventus paying 70 million euros to get him, to be honest. That's my personal opinion. But I also think that regardless of the number, I'm sure Cherubini, and Arriva Bene will find a way to get that down a little bit if that's who they're going to end up going after. Part of me wonders, because I've been really, the reason I've been and I'm not anti-Frenkie de Jong. I think bringing Frenkie de Jong would be a great player to bring to Juventus. My issue with him is I feel like there were some situations, I don't know how he'd fit into Allegri's system, for first off, and then second off, I don't really know. I think once you bring in Zakaria and players like that, and I understand it's a different financial commitment there, but at the same time, I think why would you have gotten Zakaria if you're going to go ahead and get this guy? I don't know how they would all work together in that way. I mean, we've seen mishmashes of midfields anyway, so I mean, they could definitely end up working out. Would it work out beneficially? But one of the things I did want to say as well is this could definitely be maybe what I don't want to call it a fallback option. Anybody who's over there requesting 70 million euros for a player is not a fallback option. But what I'm saying is maybe a fallback option in the big splash category, because we've had the ratings of what we say the big splash would be Milinkovic Savic number 1, number 2 probably Pogba in there, right? Pogba's kind of quieted down here recently, right? I don't know if anybody else notices that, but it's definitely gotten a little bit of little bit of quiet, a little bit of whispers there to see what's actually going to happen with his future, wherever club he decides to go to. And then after that, you have, obviously, we talk about, Jorginho, Zaniolo, whatever, players like that. That would be, controversial, I guess. We'll say that. But when it comes to Frenkie de Jong, he seems to be one that's kind of been sliding back into there. I don't know if he's moving up that list right now with the amount of reports there have been lately. It feels like it, but we'll have to continue to monitor this to see if the situation becomes anything actually serious. It's always easy to say Juve are first in line, but I want to hear actual negotiations and things going on first. Next up, we'll talk about Romeo Gresti, who, is the Bible when it comes to Juventus. What did he have to say? Basically, he's talking about Federico Gatti's future with the club, saying that he was bought in January from Frosinone for a total of 10 million euros between the fixed parts and bonuses, but that he should remain at Massimiliano Allegri's disposal. So I guess he'll still be utilized. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means he'll be utilized if he'll actually be joining the club. So, I mean, I would imagine, I guess what you're saying is at their disposal. You wouldn't be on loan anymore. You would not be at loan at Frosinone next season. So I guess that means that he could be a potential option to join the first squad. I'll say I'm not a believer. When I say I'm not a believer, I still would like to see more from him to know what more he can do. But I'm not really a believer that he's going to be able to be that guy, the center back replacement option, if Chiellini leaves, if Bonucci's hurt, if all these guys, De Ligt gets hurt and all that. I don't know if I have the faith in this player that he's going to be able to do this. So I don't, the reason I'm saying that, and I know it sounds kind of stupid the way I worded it, but what I'm trying to say is I feel like Juventus are still probably, I don't think that would cut Juventus out of going after any center backs during this upcoming Mercado. But he'll definitely be a player that can and potentially will be used by Max Allegri. Talking about players that will not be used by Allegri in the center back position is that of Merih Demiral. Romeo Gresti also reported, and basically this is, I don't know if this is controversial or not, but I wonder how people will take this, that at the end of the season, Atalanta will use the option to sign Demiral. Juventus will receive a figure slightly higher than 20 million euros. If you all recall, They had him on loan last year, and then they were supposed to pay 28 million euros for the purchase of Merih Demiral, and now it's looking like they're getting an 8 million euro discount from Juventus. And I believe in what Arriva Bene we trust, right? I believe in what he's doing. I believe in what these guys are kind of being and what they're doing. I'm a little bit conflicted on the idea of being, I don't know. I feel like it's still early before, obviously these are just reports. It's not, nothing's pen to paper yet, right? But at the same time, well, I guess maybe there's some ink on the paper, but it just depends on, the final deals getting done. But anyway, Demiral for 20, I feel like that 8 million euros is kind of a steep discount to give Atalanta. I understand they're not making Champions League. They're not making probably even Europa League at this point. But at the same time, why always us? That's what I'm trying to say, is why always Juventus being the ones that are giving the big discounts? Why are we giving a discount, especially for a player who we've had a lot of people, either fans or who whatever have you, that really liked Demiral when he brought to the table. Obviously, he's and now I want to say injury prone, but he's also prone to put himself in position that he could get injured, that he could hurt other people, that he could get yellow cards. Obviously, he's a kind of a loose cannon there in the defensive end, but at the same time, it is a little bit surprising to me that Merih Demiral would be able to go stay at Atalanta for 20 million euros instead of the 28. That is a little bit surprising to me. Let me know if you're not surprised by that. I know there's been some people, though, on the channel or, in our community that have been pretty favorable of Demiral and are disappointed that he is, gone now from Juventus. Talking about other players that could potentially be gone from Juventus, Sport are talking about Alvaro Morata and his situation, saying that he could be soon on the road to a move to Barcelona. The players will to stay in Turin is alive, but Juventus struggle to find an agreement for his redemption with Atletico Madrid, who, in order to get rid of the Spanish center forward, would be ready to reinforce a rival. That's almost a little bit more surprising to see them directly be able. Well, it's not really surprising. There were talks about Barcelona getting him in January, so that's not surprising. We talked about that before. But it is overall a little bit surprising to be willing to give him to your direct rival, who you're in competition to win, the La Liga each and every year against. Would be a disappointment for me personally to see Alvaro Morata depart from Juventus to lose out on him. But again, if the figures are too high, Juventus are gonna be willing to pay an exorbitant amount of money, especially not the amount of money originally requested for him. I think they'd still prefer to get to 15, 20, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen now. How will those pieces fall? Raspadori, Di Maria, any other names that may potentially need to come in? We'll keep an eye and keep you updated on that down the line. And now we're on to another player. Another player everybody does not favor, is what I'm going to say. That's the easiest way to say it. And because then another sport to talk about Aaron Ramsey and his situation, I'll try to touch on this lightly and not stick around with it. Aaron Ramsey will not be redeemed by the Rangers. He is set to return to Juve in the summer, with the club looking to find a solution. So Juve are going to push to try to sell him again, loan him out, whatever have you, whatever it is to get him, off the roster for this season. And I knew this was going to happen. I was afraid of that happening because last summer we had to talk about Aaron Ramsey. It was Aaron Ramsey and Locatelli. That's what we talked about the entire summer mercado. Thankfully, this mercado is going to be much more interesting than the last summer mercado. But at the same time, I don't need to spend my time talking about Aaron Ramsey and his situation. So do what you will with it. Get him out of here. Next up, and the final topic of today, is talking about Del Piero and his future with the club. Sport reporting saying that Juventus fans will have to wait a long time before Alex Del Piero returns to his desk or in a supporting role on the pitch. The former captain is in fact not yet considered ready to assume a role within the corporate structure, but the will is to keep him in the Juventus orbit with his academy and then one day bring him back to Turin. Conspiracy theory time? Is that what we're going to do? No, I'm not going to be too conspiracy theory. Part of me wonders if his the feeling that he is not ready to assume a role, is that on Del Piero's side? Is it because he's got the restaurant, he's got the other, you talk about his academy, we got all the other business stuff, his ventures with ESPN and in the United States here. Is it because he has all that going on that he's not ready, or is it Juventus do not think he is matured in that in the when I say matured, I don't mean like he's an immature player. I just mean he's not experienced enough in this realm to come work for Juventus. I mean, you're saying Chiellini is ready to go. Why would Del Piero not be? So I imagine it would have to be from Del Piero's end, because at the same time, if not, I'm just also the conspiracy part would just be obviously be the Agnelli situation, their relationship. As much as Agnelli tries to brush it off and say that there's nothing there, people are getting too, they're putting themselves too much into it. I think there's some honesty and truth that needs to be evaluated when it comes to their situation, and the more it gets pushed off the opportunity for him to come back to Juventus to be here while Agnelli's here, I think there's a little smoke, there's a little fire where that smoke is what I'll say. But anyway, I'm a believer in Del Piero, and I think there'd be nothing better than for the club to have Del Piero back in Turin and to be really a part of this club going forward. So I think it's going to be important. I think it's almost imperative that he does end up coming back to Juventus in an important role. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for the news for today. Let me know your thoughts on all the topics we talked about today. Let me know your thoughts on the players, their situations, Raspadori, Di Maria. Do you think those are two great options to get in attacking? Do you think they'll both come in? Can they both come in at the same time, or is it one or the other? As well as let me know your thoughts on the midfield situation. We talked a lot about Milinkovic-Savic yesterday, and today we talked about Frenkie de Jong. We'll see how this develops. There's nothing. It's still very, very vague when it comes to those those main midfielders. It's like one of 4 or 5 options, and nobody's really giving us any kind of clarification yet. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on all the things we talked about today. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos as well. Make sure you follow bianconerizone at bianconerizone, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and make sure you follow me if you feel so inclined at Justin Sofro on Twitter as well. I'll see you guys next time. Forza Juve, Forza Bianconeri.